Hey guys, Retro Reviews here again with another Transformers video review, and this time I will be taking a look at what is essentially going to be the final toy review for Robots in Disguise, Galvatron. Now, are you guys tired of looking at recolors yet? Because I'm starting to. Now, Galvatron is a repaint of Megatron. More specifically, the Hasbro release of Megatron that has some minor tweaks to it. Okay, this is going to be really weird, so follow with me. I don't know if I discussed this in Megatron's review, and I am too lazy to go back and watch, but the first release for Gigatron in Takara's Car Robots Market had a slight bit of tweaking done to when it was released over here in the United States. Or more importantly, the tweaking that was done was to accommodate for the other modes that Galvatron can do. The new modes that are featured with Galvatron's instructions. So there was a couple tweaks that were done to help with the solidity of those transformations, and so Megatron was remolded slightly into Galvatron, or Gigatron into Devil Gigatron and Car Robots. And then when Hasbro marketed them over here in the United States, they took the Galvatron remold, the Devil Gigatron remold, and cast that in Megatron's colors to be Megatron. So, even though the only new mold bad guy in the entire Robots in Disguise and Car Robots toy line, and it has three different variations of the mold. Because you have Takara's Gigatron, and then Devil Gigatron and Galvatron are the same, and then Megatron from the United States being different. So, that being said, go ahead and start taking a look here at Megatron, and we're going to start in robot mode, just like we did with Megatron. And I think I said Megatron instead of Galvatron, but anyways, gonna inch the camera up here a little bit. Go ahead and get close up on that head sculpt, and I love this head sculpt in the pearlescent white plastic mixed with the chrome red eyes, the dark silver face, and then the painted gold as well as gold chrome for the details. Just really brings it out, really makes this thing look sinister. So real quick, well, I guess I can wait, because we're not going to go through every single transformation. I just want to say that now, because there is 10 alt modes, official alt modes that Galvatron can do. 6 of them, well, not alt modes, but there's 10 total modes that Galvatron can do. 6 of them we've already seen before with the Megatron release. So in this video review, we are just going to focus on the new 4 transformations for Galvatron. And we'll swing back around at robot mode, and then I'll do the final color comparison there. But for starters, we'll just go ahead with the articulation first. Everything is the same. We do have the head can rotate for 360-degree movement. Ratcheted elbows or shoulders that can go out that far. A bicep swivel. Ratcheting elbow for 90-degree bend. And due to transformation can bend all the way around the other way. Swivels in the wrist. No articulation in the waist due to transformation, but we do have ratcheting I said ratcheting hips. There. Really tight ratcheting hips on mine. Like, it's so tight it feels like I'm pushing two immovable pieces of plastic against each other. As well as the thigh swivel. And due to transformation, double ratcheting in the knee. And then ball joint in the foot. So, he shares all the same posability as Megatron. He also does have his weapon, which is this time in black instead of purple. And then still features the same pressure launch system for the blades, which are also missiles, I guess. So, for transformation here, what we're going to do is we're going to skip all the modes that we saw before. And this will also showcase the fact that even though multi-changer transformers have instructions that tell you to go from one mode to the other, and I know this kind of can get a little confusing, but for newer people who are into the hobby of Transformers, just because the instructions tell you to do it one way doesn't mean that's the exact way you have to do it. And when it comes to multi-form changers like Six Shot, or in this case Megatron, you can skip around and go to basically any mode you want. So that being said, we're going to start off with Griffin mode, or as known in the show, Iron Mammoth. And so we'll start doing that by opening up the chest plate and shrinking the head down into the chest, and taking this tail section here and pegging that in, and then closing it back shut, and then rotate the arms forward, rotate these sections forward, and fold that out. Do the same on this side. And actually keep the wings situated exactly as they were for robot mode. And then for the legs, rotate them at the thigh. And I like to click that down one joint and then get those angled down. And then do the same over here. And then finally, take the sword, combine it together, and then this peg on his back, you're just going to want to line up one of the peg holes on the back here. It works best if you use this one. So then that will become a tail. And then you can position the wings any way you want. Open up the claw, open up the wings themselves. But then bend this section down to become his head. And there is Galvatron in his... I'm going to say it again. The instructions and in the Car Robots anime, this is a Griffin. And it looks like a Griffin. And Saban, when they dubbed Robots in Disguise, decided this was going to be called the Iron Mammoth mode. Which doesn't look anything like a mammoth, but that's beside the point. Now, as you can see, really, really imposing beast mode. I love this mode. nothing really it can do outside of the standard robot mode articulation that we had for Megatron, or Galvatron rather. The wings can flap, go up and down any which way you want. You can still fire these, but it's actually supposed to kind of be used as a tail at this point. So there's that. And that's about it for the Iron Mammoth mode. And now let's go on to the next mode, which will be a dragon. A single-headed dragon this time instead of a two-headed dragon. Or, as Robots in Disguise cartoon called it, again, an Iron Mammoth mode. This is gonna get this is gonna get repetitive, so I apologize in advance. But what we'll do is we're going to remove the weapon here, and we're going to straighten out the wings against his back. Straighten the legs down. And rotate them around. The same on this side. And then close up the feet. Rotate them off like this. And then bend again. So they're kind of at this angle, and then, or I guess you can bend them one more time up. No, then everything starts clashing. So we'll keep it down one, but then also just kind of bend everything. Ah, man, these ratchet joints are really tight on this figure, which can be considered a good thing. So now that we have that configuration, we can go ahead and take the weapon here and split it in half, and then we're going to peg it onto these pegs. Kind of. It's supposed to plug into those pegs, but it does get a little claustrophobic in here. But they're supposed to bend straight down, or point straight back. I guess if you want to, you can just also plug them up here like this, just so they're plugged in and out of the way. And then, finally, last thing we're going to do here for this dragon mode is we are going to take this section of the neck and rotate it around. So now, it is a single-headed dragon with a very squat body and a really wide wingspan. A little bit more on the weaker side of beast modes on this figure. When you do, like I said, when you do have 10 alt modes to fit into one figure, it's gonna start looking a little silly on a couple of them. They are gonna start looking a little half-assed. But that's this thing. In this mode, that's pretty nice. It does get the job done. So to get to the next mode, which is the elephant mode, or as Saban's dubbing team named it, the Iron Mammoth mode. This one actually makes sense. We'll go ahead and start by untabbing the backpack, the wings, untabbing this section, and then gonna get the legs out of the way for now. Just get them brought back. Get these and open up the chest and bring these ones back. And then rotate them forward. Do the same. Close that back up. Fold the wings in and fold the claws in. And then rotate the legs around. Which again, every time I try to bend mine, I feel like I'm going to break it. Come on. There it goes. So now, last step we're going to do here is there is these two notches here that are going to fit into the two grooves on the back of, or his backpack slash wing pack. And so once that gets a little bit of finagling to do to get that done, click in. And then you take the weapon pieces here and plug them into the side of the body. Like so. And there he is in the true Iron Mammoth mode. Oh boy, this is probably the silliest, and I am including the claw. This is probably the silliest alternate mode that this figure can do. Those Dumbo ears are absolutely hilarious. And then with all the legs compressed here in the back and everything being so front heavy, it just looks absolutely hilarious. I just love this so much. And as you've noticed, the beast modes that, quote-unquote beast modes that Galvatron and Megatron can do, any of the articulation that they would have is shared from the robot mode. But you're not going to be able to do very much in terms of posing for these things because they need to be positioned in such a way to keep from everything just not wanting to work. So, that's one thing to keep in mind here. And now, on to his final alt mode, which is actually not erroneously titled an Iron Mammoth because it's not a beast. So that's good. This thing is going to be a boat. Or kind of a little bit more specifically, a hydrofoil. So what we're going to do is we're going to untransform the whole section here and then get this swung back down and into place like that. And then we're going to take the backpack and we're going to fold up the wing sections here. And we are actually going to plug in this peg into that hole. Like so. And you are supposed to be able to get all of this to lay flat. That's the idea. So once you do that, Next, you're supposed to straighten out the legs. And then take the little dragon arms from the two-headed dragon and rotate them so then they lay flat on the legs like that. And then bend the double joint in the knee so that way both of them are going 90 degrees. Fold up the mouth plate pieces. They're not supposed to be all the way. They're just supposed to be kind of kept open at a little bit of an angle. Like so. And then with these facing back again, go ahead and rotate. And then rotate around. Or wait, nope, I did that wrong. It's actually supposed to look like that. And then fold at that joint. So we've got this nice little 90-degree fixture going on in the arms and legs. But nothing's pegging in. There we go. And then make sure that these claws are folded forward. And then finally, going to plug the weapon pieces onto the pegs on the forearm. And there, once everything wants to stand straight, that is the boat / hydrofoil mode. Actually, I think I messed some. Yep, I messed something up. I knew that didn't look right, but you're actually supposed to take the legs, and they're actually supposed to be folded around and all the way up here at the top. And then the dragon arms kind of go into the new sockets. And there we go. Now we have everything perfectly lined up. And the hydrofoil mode. So yes, he can do 10 alt modes. Can he do them well? That is debatable. But that is the hydrofoil / hydroplane mode. And actually might sit better if I bend it that way. There we go. And being a boat, there's really not anything it can do. So that's about it. That's all it's good for, is this. So what we can do here from this point is, once we get this pegged off, which those peg in really tight. Wow. We can go ahead and get him back into robot mode. So fold down the wings and line them up with the back, fold the tail and lock that into the back. Take the feet, rotate them around, and open them up. And then straighten them out. Do the same on that one. And get the arms out of the way, get the little dragon arms rotated around and folded into the waist section. Then open up the chest and get the arms locked into place. Pull the head out and fold the wings out. And then get everything straightened up the way it's supposed to. And there we go. So in one form or another, we have showcased all 10 modes that the Galvatron / Megatron mold can do. Now, are some of them better than others? You betcha. There's some good ones, there's some crap ones, there's some pretty decent ones that aren't, they're just middle ground. But I mention this time and time again. When you have a figure that is doing so many transformations, a couple of them are going to start feeling really, really half-assed. But as you can see, here we can go ahead and show the differences between Megatron and Galvatron. And the color swap aside, there's a lot of nice detail that is being switched around. The darker silver for the face paint on Galvatron looks really cool. The gold is a little bit more, or is different. It's kind of hard to tell, but the gold paint on Galvatron is actually a little bit more of a vibrant gold paint, whereas the Megatron one is a little bit on the paler side. It's a little bit of like a paler mustard yellow / gold. And I also feel like the purple complements the black really well over here, as well as the white and the black complement each other really well. The legs are where some of the biggest differences are. I don't know how well it's showing up on camera because of silver paint and pearlescent white plastic, but as you could, if you can tell, there's a lot of trim on Galvatron's legs that is touched up in some extra silver paint. And then you have the same feet designs, just black versus purple. So that about does it. That's pretty much all I really have to say for Galvatron / Megatron. There's a lot this figure does. There's a lot the figure does okay, there's a lot the figure does really well, and there's a lot that the figure just kind of gets by. But at the end of the day, this very well might be my favorite Megatron mold of all time. You get a really, really good, let's face it, he's a really good action figure. in like terms of just a standard action figure, non-transforming aside, that can be configured into 10 different modes. For the sake of this review, I'm not necessarily classifying him as much as a transformer as I would be an actual action figure. When it comes down to it, all of the posability is on par with any action figure of this size, of this scale, released around this time. And there's the whole Predacon lineup too. Just wanted to get that in here. So the posability, the detail, that's all standard. Like that's the golden standard for an action figure of the time. And then this action figure can also configure itself into 9 other configurations apart from the standard action figure itself. There's nothing hindering the posability at all in robot mode. Each alternate mode brings its own spin, its own take on everything. And you're left with one of the funnest Transformers experiences that at least I have had in the longest time. So, I feel, regardless of how you consider Robots in Disguise, where it lays in the franchise, I consider this Megatron to be or Galvatron for that matter, to be a definite must-have in your collection. Without hyperbole, I honestly think this might be one of the best mainline released Transformers of this decade, and of the next decade as well. Or at least between the 1990s and the 2000s, this is one of the best, if not the best. Sure, the transformation is a little meh, but you get 10 of them, and you have a wide range of being able to do anything else that you want. That's the spectacle of a multi-changer of this capacity. Look at Six Shot, the original Six Shot toy, where one of the fan modes ended up becoming an official mode in the Japanese in the Japanese show. There's a lot to work with. So that being said, I cannot recommend either Megatron or Galvatron enough. And more specifically, for the sake of this review, Galvatron. Everything about it, everything that he tries to accomplish, he accomplishes perfectly with very minimum compromise. So in that aspect, I feel like he is one of the best toys to grace the Transformers name. By no means are any of the transformations entirely perfect, but just the fact that there's so much to do with him makes him a very worthwhile contender to quite possibly one of the best Transformers of all time. So, taking that into consideration, if you can find either Megatron or Galvatron for a really good price, I would highly recommend picking him up. Unfortunately, he is one of the more expensive figures in the entire line. And that comes at the cost of sometimes a very high asking price in the aftermarket. he's just that good. But anyways, that's about it. That's all I really have to say about him. Hope you guys like this video review, and I will see you next time. Bye. Before I forget, though, there is one last thing I want to point out on Galvatron, is the fact that the designer of the toy, Takahashi Kuniro, has actually incorporated an 11th mode of this figure that actually did end up appearing in the Transformers Legends comic. So, even though this is an unofficial mode, it is still considered canon. And it is the Devil Ostrich mode. And we'll go ahead real quick and show that transformation off by folding the head in, rotating or sliding the arms down, and rotating everything around. Sorry, I want digigrade knees, but I can't quite get that. So, I know I'm transforming it a little bit different than the official transformation, but I just want to get the knees to kind of do a little bit more of a bird thing. But just also trying to get everything to line up the way it's supposed to, because there's not really any official instruction booklet as to how to get to this mode, so it is essentially just being able to get everything lined up how you would. Okay, I guess I've got two different pieces of information telling me how to do the transformation. So I'm actually going to fold these back up into the body so they're not hanging so far off the back. And that will give them a little bit more stability. Get back to the original configuration for the legs. Again, I don't do this transformation often. And there's no real instructions on how to get to it, so a lot of it is guesswork. And now I'm just checking my sources to make sure I did everything as correctly as I could. And it looks like that is it. Boom. Devil ostrich mode. Yeah. This thing is crazy. So once again, Easter egg bonus mode, and I really do like that. That's another reason why you should pick up a version of this mold. So that being said, I'll finally leave it at this, and no more bonuses, no more anything. And this has been Retro Reviews, and I hope you guys like this video review, and I'll see you next time.